Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the first season of the anime, A Certain Magical Index. And it's really hard for me to kind of peg this anime. Overall, I enjoyed it, even though there were some issues that I believe, but they could have been resolved as the show goes further on or whatnot. And it's really strange. There's some things in here that on their own should have irked me, and if they were like taken together, would have made me be like, I would recommend passing on this. But the character development and kind of what would be going on in kind of like each kind of arc that would happen in this season makes me overall say I'd recommend this show. Now, should I say that you go and stop whatever anime you're watching right now and go watch it? No, but if you've got like a lull and you're like, I kind of want something to watch, this would definitely fill it for you, I believe. So, this show revolves around this academy city where these espers are being trained. As we've learned throughout this show that there's espers with kind of psychic and science-based abilities, and then, of course, there's magic. And this whole kind of story revolves around kind of like the conflicts and the differences between these two systems. Now, granted, one of my problems is it's never delved into why these things are so incompatible and what the whole deal is with the kind of conflicts between them. It's kind of surface level, and I would rather have it go a little bit deeper, even when they're kind of explaining the magic as well. Like, espers can't use magic, and magic users can't use esper abilities. And it's never gone into why, and some of it's kind of complicated, like the waves that espers give off kind of lead to a story point later on down the line. It's like, okay, and certain things within the magical realm seem like they have very deep rules, but it's just exposition that these rules are like this, even though it's like, okay, you're doing this kind of supposedly complex spell. Alright, okay. So, the main story revolves around this one esper in Academy City, Toma. Now, he's a level 0, which is the lowest of the low. He really doesn't have any esper powers that we know of in the beginning. He's trying to help this one girl, who's this like high level one, whose code name's like Railgun because of the ability for her to like use electricity to kind of shoot stuff and use it at her whim. And he kind of gets beaten up, and he gets back to his house and he sees this nun hanging on his balcony going, what's going on here? And of course, he like takes her in and she wants food and he gives her some, even though it's kind of like bad food. It's like, no, I can't let you do that. And we get everything going in that she's a sister from this church in England, and that she'll be protected by her magical robes and everything. And, of course, we find out that once he had kind of fought the one high-level esper, that he has the ability to kind of negate esper abilities, and he kind of tries it on this magic stuff, and her clothes burst apart. It's like, holy crap, well, that's a pretty handy trick. And as this goes on, we see that it's only in his right hand, and I don't know if further along they kind of deal with that it could potentially be like the hand of God or something like that can cancel out these effects. But I was expecting that kind of twist to come along, but it hasn't, at least at the end of this one. So, what's going on in the beginning part of this, there's like a lot of arcs in this show. Even in this one season. That was another thing that I kind of have as a positive and a negative. First part deals with that Index has hundreds of thousands of magical grimoires worth of knowledge in her head, and that her memory needs to be wiped every year, otherwise she'll die, because she has a photographic memory, and evidently it fills up. And, okay, so Toma starts investigating this stuff, but is able to figure out that it's a lie, that you can't die from that kind of thing, and tries to help her out. And of course, these magicians from the same church are trying to get this to go into effect, but of course they are friends with Index and have helped her through this process before, even though they hate it. And he comes up with the idea to try and find out what's going on, and triggers a defense thing, which it tries to eliminate him but can't because of his hand. But of course, he's able to kind of stop it, but in the process loses his memory. So I thought it was an interesting twist that instead of Index losing her memory, Toma was the one that lost his memory and kind of changed his character arc, because at first he was kind of like the cocky kind of dude who doesn't really want to help people, but kind of begrudgingly does. And then we get throughout the rest of the season and the rest of the arcs, this guy that's trying to make sure that nobody catches on that he's lost his memory and trying to help people. And that is a character development that I didn't expect to happen, and I really enjoyed throughout the rest of this season. And that is one of the core strengths of this, at least this season, is how strong the character development is. Now, granted, they do focus on different characters throughout, but I think they do an adequate job of making us care about them. Because after that one, they're kind of going through, and we get more into the high-level Esper, and how there's only a certain amount of her kind of level, and one of them, Accelerator, is pretty much killing clones of her to get stronger, to get a higher level. And, of course, Toma tries to help her with that because she's trying to get Accelerator to kill her, so that way he will stop and make the whole program null and void. But, of course, Toma's able to stop him because if he gets close enough, he can just beat the shit out of people with his right hand. I liked how they did that to kind of show Accelerator he's not the coolest dude, and seeing how he kind of like has to deal with that effect, and see how the clones have to deal with that. Holy crap. Alright. After doing that, of course, we then get to an arc at a beach scene, and of course, there's always got to be a beach kind of trip, at least tried to do it in any kind of anime, but I think this was a really well done one because it took it and completely turned it on its head. It wasn't a kind of relaxing thing where it's like, oh, okay, this character is going to have a nice, good, relaxing time. No, shit gets real, as we find out that his father accidentally pretty much did a spell that here's again where it gets kind of crazy. I don't know if the spell was trying to, like, imbue him with angel powers or something. It made an angel come down, and everything was all hooped up, and nobody looked how they should have looked, and it was crazy, and I did not expect it to go that way. And Toma having to deal with it was just very well done. So, we get towards kind of the back end of the show, and we see Accelerator having to deal with this one kind of stunted clone, and that she's got a virus that could go out to the rest of the other clones and pretty much make them go on a warpath to destroy the whole world. So, like, okay. And we see his character growth of caring for this clone and trying to stop what's going on, and he kind of sacrifices himself, but here comes one of the other problems I have. People get out of situation with plot armor that I just completely am dumbfounded about, because Accelerator gets shot in the head, but he's able to kind of deflect it while he's also kind of changing the code to destroy the virus within inside the smaller clone. And, of course, the dude that was trying to instigate the virus shot him in the head, but he's able to kind of stop the bullet long enough to kind of almost try and stop him, but of course he passes out. He's still alive. Then this other researcher comes in and pretty much gets into a Mexican standoff with the other dude. They both shoot each other. She gets shot in the heart, and she knows this doctor, and he saves her and Accelerator. They're both alive. I'm going, I would think that some kind of character death would have been warranted. I mean, you gotta find that right balance between developing a character enough and making sure that that can occur with a character doesn't render the character development they had inconsequential. Like, the character development would lead to this moment that this character was willing to sacrifice themselves for something greater, and shows that change of them from being selfish to being selfless. And this would have been a cool one for both of these characters, actually. I'm like, okay, I mean, I'm glad that we have them around to be developed a little bit more and everything, but it's like, okay. Well, that also brings me, there was a previous arc where Toma was working with a magician to rescue this girl who had the power to, like, destroy vampires, and it was going to be used in a plot to save Index because of this alchemist dude. It gets really kind of crazy. But he gets his fucking right arm chopped off, and the same doctor reattaches it. I'm going, okay, now granted, Toma needs this right arm because that's where his Esper power is to negate magic and Esper abilities. But I'm going, if you're going to reattach it, if you're going to do these things and negate them, why do you do? You know? Okay. But I like these characters and I like how it works out. And then we get to the last one and we see the sorcerer come in and try to instigate another war between Espers and magicians, but of course Toma and this one kind of entity that is made by the abilities of Espers are able to stop her and her golem and save Index and the Academy City, and that's kind of where it's left off. We get an illusion that the person running Academy City is essentially trying to create a science heaven and angels in a kind of, I guess, power race between him and the magical order because they've got access to like angels and stuff like that. It's not completely explained, but I am intrigued by the possibility of the answers of what could be wrought from these things. So that's why I'm like interested. That's why I'm interested in this show and where it could go and the whole mashup. I really like the premise. I really like the characters. Granted, the execution is not the worst that I've seen, but the execution leaves a little bit to be desired. So that's why I'm like, it's kind of like that middle kind of anime, that kind of, how do I say? It's not completely junk food, but it's not like one of those ones that's going to change your whole view on anime or be like, oh my god, this story is great, these characters are great. It's kind of that middle of the road kind of, alright, this is good enough quality, not the best, but not complete and utter crap. So I would totally recommend this if you're into an interesting kind of concept, especially with like magic and science kind of interacting, and really into them getting a decent, decent character development. And yeah, I really like this, and I'm gonna try at least to see what else is around with it with its seasons, because Microsoft did this cool thing where they had like the first couple seasons of certain shows for free, and I'm like, I'm gonna get this, that, and that. And they were on my list anyway, so I'm gonna have to work through that, as well as some cool stuff that's coming up on Netflix that I'm gonna be looking into to do reviews on as well. So overall, I think they did a good job with this. I wish there had been better execution or better explanation on certain things, but that could also have been rectified in further seasons or other movies. So I would definitely think, if you're into those kind of things of like magic and science, I definitely recommend this one for you. So those are my opinions on this anime. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.